make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. I'd like to welcome all our visitors. We've got a pretty good contingent here today, 3 council members. Jerry here? There he is, Jerry, Mike, Cindy, Diane. Cindy's not here. All right, very good. All right. We will start the meeting. We have a statutory requirement to make sure oaths of office are given for boards by the end of January, or they have to be reappointed, and it just makes sense to, for one reason or another, these 2 need to be done by the end of the month. So I'm going to have Mike Londeris and Dave Baumgartner come forward, and I'll have them just stand in front of the podium here. When do you have those? Thank you. And I'll do these separately because it's 2 different boards. I'll start with Dave, and this is his appointment to the Plan Commission. Again, both Dave and Mike, I certainly appreciate your service to the community. These boards take time. Sometimes there's tough decisions, and you guys are willing to weigh those decisions and do what's best for the community. And it's always important that we have people that have that view of our community to do what's best for the community on those boards. And I certainly appreciate your willingness to go another term. So Dave, I'll start with you from the Plan Commission. Repeat after me and raise your right hand. I, Dave Baumgartner.
I, Dave Baumgartner.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Indiana.
And the Constitution of the State of Indiana.
And that I will faithfully.
And that I will faithfully.
Impartially.
Impartially.
And diligently.
And diligently.
Discharge my duties.
Discharge my duties.
As a member of the Plan Commission.
As a member of the Plan Commission.
For the City of Warsaw.
For the City of Warsaw.
According to the law.
According to the law.
And the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
You bet.
And Steve, you're going to sign this. Dave, you've been serving the city for, is this your 3rd term? Appreciate it. You just sign and print that.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, and same thing, Mike will be sworn in as the city representative in the Warsaw Wayne Township Fire Protection Territory. So if you'd raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Michael Londeris.
I, Michael Londeris.
Do solemnly swear.
Do solemnly swear.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
I will support the Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Indiana.
And the Constitution of the State of Indiana.
And that I will faithfully.
And I will faithfully.
Impartially.
Impartially.
And diligently.
And diligently.
Discharge my duties.
Discharge my duties.
As a member of the Warsaw Wayne Township Fire Protection Territory.
As a member of the Warsaw Wayne Fire Protection Territory.
According to the law.
According to the law.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
All right, thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And you sign this as well. Mike. Okay. All right, thank you, gentlemen, both. You're not obligated to stay, but certainly if you'd like to do the business of the board this morning, you're welcome to. All right, with no unfinished business, we'll move into new business. The first item is the opening of sealed bids for our 2020 fuel contract. This will be gasoline for city vehicles. Scott.
We have a bid here from Lassus Brother Oil in a specific bid amount of $2.071 per gallon.
that it?
If I could take that, and Jane, I'll make sure it meets the specs.
Did you just bid on?
It was just the one, we said one thing.
Yeah,
Good.
and you just had the bid for the 87 correct?
Correct. Yeah, this is just for-
Are you guys?
Yeah.
You want to consider today?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have them take a look at that for kind of compliance, and then we'll go back and make a decision on that.
Okay.
Today, yeah. All right, thank you. Item 2 is the street closure for the Optimus 2019 car show. The information is presented. The diagrams are here. Hi, come on up. Members of the Optimus Club are here.
Yes, sir. We'd like to request the times stated in the information we passed out. It's for May 19th. This will be the 10th anniversary of this car show. And we're going to follow the same format that we have in the last 9 years.
Okay. So pretty much it's on a Sunday, same times as
Yes, sir.
in the past, pretty much the same roads. Did you all use Indiana Street the last couple of years?
We had it partially blocked off. The church could still use the in and out, and on the other side, on the north side of the Center Street, they could still use the ATM and go out the other way.
Okay. So I assume this is kind of the last, kind of the overflow area, if
Yes, sir.
you need that. Do you close that up, again, with regards to the church times and so forth? Do you kind of wait to the last minute to do that?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right. Questions?
No.
No. I move to approve.
Second?
And you all obviously contact dispatch when it's time to close and then when it's time to open back up. Okay, very good. All right, I see no concerns. Motion on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
May I also introduce you to Tracy Fitzgerald? She's going to be taking over as the co-chair of the Optimus Car Show.
Great, great.
Good to see you.
All right,
Thank you.
all right, thank you very much. Jeff, you want to make sure that the road is swept on that day, so appreciate it. All right, let's move on to the next item. This is a fire territory. Chief, these are some heart monitors, cardiac monitors that the territory approved on the 2nd, and now being brought to the Board of Works for their approval.
Coming to you today to ask permission to receive 4 Zoll series monitors, defibrillators. These are coming to us through a grant that Turkey Creek Fire Territory, which is Syracuse, applied for. It was with K21 Health Foundation. They're actually buying enough monitors for Syracuse, North Webster Fire and EMS, and us. Out of that, we will be turning back in, if you allow us, the ones that K21 Health Foundation, the old Philips monitors, will be going back into Zoll as trade-ins. The planning on these, if they're approved today from the Board of Public Works, is that they will be delivered, training will be provided end of January, first week of February, and they'll be placed in service. 1 at each station and 1 in the battalion vehicle as a backup.
So you had articulated to the fire territory the reason that these monitors are being purchased. Could you go through that just a little bit?
Philips was taken offline by USDA last year. Philips is no longer going to be servicing or maintaining, and you can't buy any parts for the Philips monitors that we currently have in the county. These were originally purchased for us through K21 for the entire county back, and I believe it was 2015. So Chief Scott went to the foundation, explained the situation. The foundation was already aware of it. For the betterment of the community and for the emergency services and working with the ambulance crews, they decided to go ahead and support this grant and put the new monitors out.
All right, questions?
No. I'll move to approve acceptance of the grant.
Second.
Again, this was approved at the fire territory board meeting on January 2nd unanimously. So, all in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed? All right.
Thank you very much.
Jennifer, new hire report, change in payroll.
Yes.
You have before you just some switching around and some changes. We have some individuals who have obtained some certifications that we want to compensate for. We have some part-time firefighters also for our new program.
Questions?
I move to accept all as presented.
Second?
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Then travel requests appear to be all
Please.
WPD related. Any questions of the chief? Chief, do you have any comments on any of these travel requests? There's 1, 2, 3, there's 5 going to the Bulletproof Policing event in Indianapolis, and then FTO certification, and Philip Hawks is going to the Animal Care and Control meeting in Columbus, Indiana.
Yeah, for Philip Hawks, this is just the second of the 2 training courses he needed to attend to be our secondary animal control behind Officer Curtis. And then the bulletproofing police is supervisor training. These are supervisors that have yet to receive any supervisory training or haven't recently.
All right, questions?
No, move to accept the travel request.
Second.
All right, further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, Larry, permission to apply for a grant. I know this was discussed and covered in the park board meeting the other night. And I asked maybe you give a little bit of an explanation and the thoughts of the park board as you asked for approval to apply for these grants.
Yeah, we're trying to apply for grants to K21 Foundation and the Dr. Dane and Mary Louise Foundation for the reconstruction of the tennis courts at Kelly Park. We would like to take the 2 tennis courts and make one of the tennis courts into a 4 pickleball court with permanent nets and such. We were approached by the pickleball group about a year and a half ago to do this, and at the time we didn't have the funds to do anything like that. So they went out and put temporary lines on the courts, and they've been using it that way, but they still have to bring the nets and the posts and everything, and it's pretty cumbersome to do that every time they play, which they play a couple times a week out there at Kelly Park. So these would be the the first permanent pickleball courts in the Kosciuszko County if this project is completed. So I think there's a big need for these. It's something that's really popular and growing. I mean, they played at Pete Thorne. They played in our gym over there before too. So that's what we'd like to do, to apply for grants to get this done out there. So.
All right. And I know I'd made a few comments at the park board meeting. I think this represents a real expansion of recreational opportunities for many different groups. And there was a pretty significant group here at the meeting urging consideration of this. It's been something I've been hearing about a lot. I think with the opportunity to get this done with grants, it makes perfect sense. So I would ask for your consideration of this. You guys have any questions?
No, just watching a good game of pickleball. I move to accept.
All right.
Second.
All right. Further discussion? Great. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you.
And those grants will take care of the complete reconstruction of those courts.
Yes, it's our intent for both of those to pay for the whole project.
Okay. Yeah. And again, we would certainly appreciate K21 and Dr. Dane and Mary Louise Miller Foundation's consideration of this. I know they were excited about it. And
yeah.
Just got together with you, and we all felt like this was a really good thing for our community and for everyone in our community.
Yeah, and I'll be submitting those grants prior to the February 1st deadline, so it should be pretty quick here. So.
All right, great.
Yep.
Thank you. We got a janitorial agreement at Pete Thorne.
Yes, we had a janitorial service that was there for 25 years, and they're not capable of doing the job anymore. So we went to look at Be Relieved. He's the one that does the cleaning in City Hall here, and he was very interested in doing the Pete Thorne building. So that's what we'd be.
All right.
Yep.
Questions?
No, I'll move to approve the agreement.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right.
All right,
Thanks,
thank you.
Larry.
Mhm.
So we've got a plethora of parks contracts. We're going to consider them in groups, kind of by event. I'm sure you had a chance to look at those. I'll have Sheila kind of highlight each individual contract, but we'll consider first, let's see, let me get back here. We'll consider 8 and 9, the Central Park Concert Series in this first vote. So.
Sure. So the first contract is for the Sensational Soul Brothers, and this is a Blues Brothers tribute band. And if you look them up on YouTube or through their website, it looks like they put on a great, high energy, really fun performance, and I'm excited to bring them to the concert series. And the second one is for the Tallies, which is our annual gospel concert that always ends our Central Park concert series. And that is going through the same booking agent as we've used for those concerts in the past, in the same price range. They do require a deposit, and then the balance. You can see it split out there on the worksheet.
And I think a lot of this is underwritten by our grant with the Indiana Arts Commission.
Yes, yes. The Tallies is entirely grant funded. The Blues or the Sensational Soul Brothers is through budget money.
Okay. All right. Any questions?
No.
Is there a motion to approve contracts 8 and 9 for the Central Park Concert Series?
So moved.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. We'll consider number 10 individually. This is the Monster Message Board for Family Movie Night.
That's correct. This will be the 4th year, I believe, we brought them back to do the movies in Central Park. It's great to see the families come out and have a wonderful time. We do popcorn and snow cones and candy bars in our concession stand and make a little bit of revenue in that way. But these are $2,000 of the total of 3 is from is from our sponsorship account, and then $1,000 is out of budgeted money.
Questions?
No. Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, next we'll consider items 11, 12, and 26. 26 kind of got separated, but this is country concert contracts.
Right. These collectively are all for Brian Fravel from Pro Audio Service, which does our production for our 3 national act concerts. The rock concert being June 14th, blues being June 28th, and country being July 19th. His costs have remained the same for the last several years.
Okay. Questions? Again, this is items 11, 12, and 26, all regarding the production of the concerts.
I move to accept.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? So they weren't all country. One's country, one's blues, and one's rock.
That's
but
correct.
It was all for the same event.
Yes.
So my error there. Okay, the next one we'll do 13, 14, and 15. These are fall family fun for Ice Creations, Incredible Bats, and again, the Monster Message Board.
That's correct. Ice Creations comes and does pumpkin carving. They generally have 2 pumpkins done when they come. Last year they did one with our Parks Department logo in it, which was really neat. And then he had one that actually had wooden arms and legs coming off, which was really cool. And then he carves 2 while he's there in front of people, showing them different techniques and how they do that. Cost is the same on that. They do come from Ohio, so there is a little bit of a travel fee in there, but the fee has remained the same. This is the 3rd year we will have them back. Incredible Bats is a gentleman who comes from Illinois, and he brings not only bats but skunks, and also last year he had a tarantula with him. And he talks, he really educates the public and the children that are in there about what they eat and how they move and all those fun things about the animals. And then the last one is another Monster Message contract, and I did this one separately because it's specifically with Fall Family Fun versus being part of the Central Park the Central Park movie series. But it is for him to bring the board down and show a Halloween-themed movie after the event for Fall Family Fun.
All right. Questions?
I move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. The next group would be items 16 through 22. These are all contracts for the Family Carnival. Dickinson, Ernsberg, Everyone's Tiffany, Joe Harmon, Main on Main, Martin McCartney, Mellow Productions.
Yeah, so in general, these are all repeats other than Everyone's Tiffany and Main on Main, which are the improv groups. Mary Dickinson from Creative Comedy is going to provide 3 face painters for the Family Carnival. The times is 6 to 9, so it is a 3-hour event. So we see the prices being a little higher on this one because it is a 3-hour event opposed to some of the shorter events that we have. And that is budgeted money. Ken Ernsberger is a balloon artist for Family Carnival. He's done it for several years. His cost has not gone up while I've been here. So for at least 4 years, it's been the same. The next one is Everyone's Tiffany, which is through Joe Harmon. I have asked Everyone's Tiffany and Main on Main to come as our entertainment, and they're each going to do 45 minutes to an hour show. It's family friendly. It's made up on the spot. If you've never seen an improv show, they're really a lot of fun because they're playing off the audience and they're pulling things that are going on around them, and it gives them ideas on their comedy that comes out. I feel like their prices are very affordable, and I'm excited. These are both local groups from within the county, and I'm really excited to bring them in and showcase some of the local talent in the area. And those are both $150 each. Randy Martin is a caricature artist. He's done it for several years. His fee did go up, I believe, $10 this year. Darlene McCartney is another caricature artist. Her price has remained the same for several years now. And Mellow Productions is, I'm bringing in a second balloon artist this year to help Ken out. He had quite the line last year, and I feel like adding a second artist would really help with that, alleviate that line and be able to move more children through so that they can, we have the opportunity to touch more children with the balloon art.
Questions?
No. Nice job lining these up. I'll move we approve the contracts.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Remind us again of the dates of that Family Carnival.
Family Carnival is Friday, August 2nd.
Yeah, and that's typically in conjunction with First Friday.
It
is.
is.
It's a big night, and
Yes.
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So thanks again. Appreciate to echo Jeff's comments. Thank you very much for all the work you do on that, because I know a lot of people down there. All right, the next would be items 23, 24, and 25 as they relate to the Light Up the Night, Kaiser, Kruger Doodles, and Mellow Productions again.
Yes, the first contract, Mr. Kaiser, is our Santa contract, and I do have him, he's been our Santa for several years, and he does like to keep that persona, so if we could kind of keep that under wraps. You guys have been told that before. And his fee is the same. Kruger Doodles we used for Light Up the Night for the first time this past year, and they did a wonderful job. So I've asked them to come back for us. Price has remained the same. And then Mellow Productions, which is going to do the Family Carnival for the first time this year, is going to come do the balloon art again for our Light Up the Night event. And his fee remained the same.
All right. Questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, items 27 through 32 are stagehands, and I assume these are for the 3 concerts at Glover Pavilion?
That's correct. These are all repeats. They've all been doing it for several years. Lafferty, Neer, and Smith will be doing all 3. The other 3 will only be doing country and rock, but you can see that on their individual contracts. And it is $120 for the day per date.
Questions?
No. Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I know these are all folks you've worked with in the past.
Yes, they do a wonderful job. They work really hard.
Yeah.
And it's a long day for them. They're generally there at 7 a.m. and a lot of times they don't leave till 11:30 or midnight.
Nice. Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I do have one more thing to ask. At the January 4th Board of Works, I was approved to accept a grant agreement through the Community Foundation, but I missed a signature from either George or Jeff. Can I grab that real quick on this so I can turn it in?
Yep. Okay, and while we're doing that,
Sorry.
Scott, you want to come up and I assume you want to take action on the
One of us.
Yeah, from
bid
one of
that
you.
was open this morning?
Right below his.
Right here?
Yeah.
Sure?
Yep.
Okay. That's it?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, George.
All right, great. All right, so back to item number 1. The sealed bids were open. There was one bid. I think it was $2.07, and this is for the year 2020, next year. So.
Correct. James Emmons and I looked at the bid. It meets the specifications that we requested. So this would be for 2020 calendar year, $2.07 or $2.071. So $2.07 and then 1/10 cent per gallon, 78,000 gallon.
So it's your recommendation to?
Be my recommendation that we approve, or that the board approve. And so we'll be locked in for budgeting purposes in this year for 2020.
For 2020.
For 2020, when we enter budgeting this 2019.
Gotcha. All right.
I move to approve.
Good. Second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? And Scott, just for reference, 2019 we're paying $1.90.
192.
192.
As we did in 2018.
So the futures guys see a little bit of increase for next year.
Right. And apparently it's been, I guess the rate's been jumping around as of late, obviously. So it'll probably, tomorrow it could be different, but we're locked in. And, it's been, since we started this, I think this will be our fourth contract perhaps, and we've definitely been ahead of the game. So it's worked out well
It's
for
done a
us.
great job with regards to budgeting. I know there's a minimum gallons on there, and I think we exceeded that, or
Yeah, we exceeded it just into the month of December. That's why I increased it by 3,000
So went from 75 to 78,000.
to 78,000. We'll still reach that at some point in December of that calendar year. And it's just the at the pump price.
And the other thing of note is that for them to be able to do this type of bid or quote, they will not do it other than giving you the price the morning of. That's how tight these
Correct.
These quotes are.
Or the evening before, but yeah.
Is that, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely less than 24 hours. So.
Right. So we really had to wait until Board of Works meeting, got the number, and that's what was essentially presented today. So.
Correct.
Again, thanks for all your work on that. It's saved the city literally thousands of dollars, and again, it's made the budgeting practice simpler, the allocation process, and appreciate your hard work on that.
In addition, the Lasses Brothers allows us to track. They basically produce a card for each vehicle, so we track the fuel usage for each car, and it's also assigned. The PIN number is assigned to the employee, so it's so we're easily able to track fuel usage, per vehicle, per employee, which is a major advantage. Is what we had in years past versus just a card for a car, and try to track that. So.
All right, thank you. All right, we'll go back to item 33. Oh, yes, great. All right, just a second. I'm going to have Jeremy come up. Thursday, I was at the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership meeting, and grant funds from the Regional Development Authority that were approved by the Regional Development Authority in conjunction with the Regional Cities Project for our Buffalo Street project. The city essentially has met their obligations and requirements, and I was given a check for $1 million to safely transport back to Warsaw and get in Lynn safe. And what I'd like to do in just a minute, I've got some council members here who have supported this project. I mean, and there are other council members that have supported the project. These are just 3 that are here today, and I appreciate that. And in a moment, we're going to present this check to the clerk treasurer on behalf of the Regional Development Authority for the North Buffalo Street project. Jeremy, you want to go through just a little bit the numbers?
Yeah, so this is project we've been working on since 2015 when we did the bond issue for the Buffalo Street project with the intent of building the infrastructure to create the new housing and mixed-use development along Buffalo Street in the park, and commingling that space with people in the public plaza. The original bond issue paid for the construction that occurred last year, and some of it's still being done, will be done this spring as we finalize some tree plantings and some sodding and some pipe work yet. But so that infrastructure by and large is done. The second phase of this project is the public plaza. So the infrastructure, we spent roughly $2.3 million on Buffalo Street, and the plaza is expected to be roughly $1.6 million. Construct the plaza this spring and summer. So obviously the regional cities portion is to contribute towards that plaza so that we can construct that this year. So the money we spent with the reconstruction of Buffalo Street has been matched more or less with the money that we got from regional cities for the public plaza portion.
And again, you might have mentioned, but that infrastructure work that was done was supported by the bond, TIF bond.
Yeah, so the TIF bond that was done in 2015, and over from 15 to early or late 2017, we were engineering that project. And in 2017, we bid that out, I believe in November or late 2017, we bid that project out for 2018 construction. Right now, we're in the process of designing the plaza and getting all the permits for that. So our intent, obviously, is to bid that out this spring so that it would go to construction this year.
And Jeremy, would you also mention, I know at the time before the project started, as the project was still early on, there was a concern down on Buffalo Street with infrastructure, with the drainage and the sewers, and Brian, you can address that as well. I mean, we ended up putting a new lift station down there. Those were improvements that were going to have to be made no matter what happened down there. Can you relate that a little bit, Jeremy?
So the maturation of the Buffalo Street project as it exists now kind of started in 2015, but the infrastructure work and the things that we know or knew at the time needed to be done happened long before that. And I believe in 2007 was the first property we had purchased along Buffalo Street with the intent of trying to find a location for a lift station. Because the existing lift station was failing and the underground pipes in that area were failing. From that time, fortunately, Brian was very patient for us to develop this project and develop a use for the infrastructure costs that we were going to have to put into the ground. And from 2007 until 15, as that project kind of grew and became the project that you see now, that infrastructure kind of was bandaged and kept working. All the while knowing that we needed to make these improvements and needed to find a location for the lift station. Over the last 4 years, working through the project and the design and finding those locations for all that infrastructure, and then last year constructing it has been challenging, but certainly I think we have a great project ahead of us in terms of the housing that it's going to create in the mixed-use building, and then the components that are going to tie into the park. All going to work out really well.
And the significant funding, obviously, was the TIF bond for the infrastructure, and now the regional cities money for the plaza, and that's the vast majority of city investment in this project. The downtown TIF is again started with the construction of the Zimmer building. The TIF was established in the mid-90s and has done a lot for our downtown area as it's designed to do. And this is the last bond I think that will be executed. Potentially the last bond that we'll have on this TIF before it does expire in 2040. So, but the TIF has been good for the infrastructure improvements. Again, regardless of the Buffalo Street project or not, it was very important to get that work done down there. And then as regional cities became an opportunity, things just started lining up. That the vast majority of funding was going to be covered by those two entities. And today is kind of the culmination of that. I think it's important to get. Mike's also a member of the Redevelopment Commission, who had a big part of it. So I think what I'd like to do, I'd like to have the members of the council that are here, and Mike as a member of the council and Redevelopment Commission come forward, and Jeremy, and Justin, myself, and we want to present this check from the RDA to the clerk treasurer's office in a little more formal manner. So.
Do you want to motion up to
do need to motion the approval of the funds from the Regional Development Authority. The amount total is?
$1.615 million.
I've been a part of this, you need to do it. Go ahead.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we accept the funds and
The 1.61.
1.6. I have trouble saying it.
Yeah,
So.
that all? Yeah. Second?
$1,650,000.
I'll second that.
All right.
Man.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. I think we'll just come up front door right there. So Len, this check. Yeah, let's balance this out. I want to touch it. The real check is safely in the vault.
Happy with that?
Good? How's my hair look? Pretty good?
All right. Thanks. There you go, Lynn. All right. And I certainly don't want to underestimate the importance of the Northeast Indiana Regional Partnership and our involvement with them. They were chosen as one of the 3 regional cities recipients, and there was $42.5 million worth of projects that have been spread out, I believe, to all 11 counties. So things happening in the region that are making a difference. So, all right. Let's move on to item 34, Anchorage Road contract, NDOT Road Project Plan Department.
So this is a little bit different than in the past with NDOT contracts. Obviously, you had the PE contract for Anchorage Road a couple of meetings ago. In the past, you would have approved the actual contract with NDOT prior to any agreements with engineering or right-of-way or any design work. But because they changed that process we talked about the last time to where we're basically approving the engineering contract and then submitting it to them for their approval, at which point they issue the actual NDOT contract. The intent still is that we expect or hope that NDOT will match the 80-20 for the engineering, but this contract is specific with NDOT for the Anchorage Road project. So this is our official contract with them for the funding of the Anchorage Road project. We will approve this, submit it back to them. Once they have signed it and executed it on their end, then they will start to issue POs for us to do the engineering work.
And you said this has been a little bit different than it's been done in the past.
Yeah, in the past, you would have approved this contract first before we did anything. Before we were even able to award a contract to an engineer, you would have had to approve this contract because they're doing it differently now. Once we submit the engineering contract, which we have done, that was approved, I think, two or three board meetings ago. Now they will issue the NDOT contract. That will start that ball rolling on their end.
Jeremy, I would like you to just briefly explain the process for selecting an engineer for a project like this. I believe it's a scoring system that NDOT basically requires.
Yeah, so the RFP process is it's not it's not based on dollar amounts. It's based on the company's ability to do it and what they bring to the table in terms of their design team and their abilities to think through issues and address or solve problems. So initially what we would do is create an RFP. That RFP is based off of NDOT's template. It goes onto their system. So we submit the RFP to them. It goes out to all the engineerings that are pre-certified by NDOT. Any engineering firm that's on that pre-certification list can submit an RFP to us for our project. I believe on Anchorage Road we had 7 engineering firms submit. So there's quite a few. On all of our projects, I can't remember on Lincoln Street how many, but most of our projects we get 5 to 7, or even I think one of them we had 8 or 9 submittals from engineering firms. So we get quite a few RFPs back. Each one of those RFPs are then ranked by 4 different members of the City of Warsaw. It's James Emmons, the Anchorage Road specifically was James Emmons, Justin, myself, and the mayor. Every engineering firm is then ranked based on a scoring and based on their RFP that they submitted, which basically outlays how they are going to address the project, how they're going to solve problems, how they're going to design it, and what they see as potential issues. Those RFPs are ranked through a scoring sheet provided by NDOT. All those rankings are then accumulated by myself, scored, and create a scoring tabulation that is submitted to NDOT for their approval. Once NDOT has approved our process of selection, which is all those scorings, which then ultimately gets a ranking of the whoever sent in RFP. So if you had 7, you'd have your top engineering firm all the way down to the 7th ranked engineering firm. So in this case it'd be 1 through 7. We would submit that to NDOT for their approval. They basically approve all the ranking sheets, all the scoring sheets, and the RFPs that were submitted, make sure that all the engineers that submitted are pre-qualified. Once all that's done, they submit back saying that your RFP process has been approved. Then you start negotiating with the top firm that you selected. If you're unable to negotiate with them on a fair price for the project, then you would go down that list based on their ranking. Once we have selected the engineering, once we are able to negotiate a contract with them, then we submit that contract to NDOT, which is what was done 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then we enter into the NDOT. So it's a very involved and long process, and usually takes about 3 or 4 months to
Correct me if I'm wrong, but doesn't NDOT have a weighting for specific engineering firms? Don't they have
as part of that scoring sheet,
scoring system, NDOT weighs in as well?
NDOT has scores individuals on their ability to complete projects, and there's 3 different scoring categories, of which only 2 NDOT gives scores. I don't know why they have a 3rd one. So everybody gets a 0 on the 3rd one, but there are 3 NDOT scoring categories that they score projects submitted to them on, and then they keep those scores and send those scores to you once you've submitted your list of engineers that have submitted RFPs. So I would submit the 7 engineering firms that submitted RFPs to NDOT. They would send me their scores, and those scores go on that scoring sheet, and they're a weighted score, so they play into the overall score of each firm.
I know this is a long meeting, and but I think it's really important to understand how that scoring works. That it's a compilation of 4 within the city plus the NDOT scores compiled, added up, and it's a very rigorous process for any of these large road projects, federal road projects that we go through. And Husky Trail was like that. Parker Street was like that. The Lincoln project, I think we're going to hear about a little bit later, as well as Anchorage Road and Market Street. Those projects were all scored that way, and that's how those engineers are selected.
Yeah, and each RFP is 12 pages, as a maximum of 12 pages, and that has the project team, the project leader, who's going to be doing the project or be the lead engineer on the project. It has their scope, how they're going to address the project. It has their past projects that they've done and successes. So, I mean, each one of those RFPs that we're reviewing and ranking has a lot of information in it. So when you're reviewing 7 of them, I mean, it takes a while. It usually takes a month or so for everyone to get their ranking sheets back into me, and then I have to tally all of them, and it's a very involved process.
I appreciate that. I didn't want to get sidetracked, but I think that's important, and this was a good time to talk about that. So this specific engineering contract is, again, went through that process and is for the Anchorage Road project. Jeremy's detailed that. Are there any questions? Is there a motion to accept?
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Item number 35, a development agreement with Greenmark. Morning, Steve.
Thank you. I had given to Lynn 3 copies of the development agreement originally drafted by Jeremy with some modifications by me to update things from when it was originally submitted. This is a project for a John Deere dealership at US 30 and 200 West. It is also a 4-lot commercial plat or industrial plat. And incorporates the extension of the roadway off of 200 further west about 300 feet that will be installed by the developer, and the dedication of an additional right-of-way running to the west side of the property for future use as these lots would be sold off. The entire project has been before the technical review committee and approved. We will be obviously extending water and sewer west of 200 to allow connection for the dealership. The dealership itself has pretty detailed plans at this point. They'll be finalized from the building structure, but will be roughly a $4.5 million development on the main lot at the northwest corner of those 2 roads. What we're looking for today is your approval of the development agreement and the terms of that agreement. I'd be happy to review them in detail, but essentially it's what I just discussed. The total cost of the project, installation of 300 feet of sewer or of roadway west of 200, installation of the sewer and the water to be connected at this location, and a 4-lot plat, plus an additional 40 feet of right-of-way on the west side of 200 for future expansion of that roadway. Final plat approval is scheduled for February 11th before the Plan Commission.
All right. Any questions of Mr. Snyder? Jeremy, do you have any comments on the process and the final product?
No, obviously the important thing for us is the extension of the road that we've been working on through phase 1 and phase 2 of our technology park. So the right-of-way to extend that road on in the future to a potential phase 3 of the technology park, and then the right-of-way on 400 and the extension of the water and the sewer were all the discussions that we've had with Greenmark over the last 6 months or so.
And we're up to 200 West with phase 2 expansion that basically.
Yeah, this will tie into that phase 2 expansion and continue Polk Drive. That's the road I was trying to Polk Drive onto further onto the west. As we anticipate in the future, we would continue to expand our industrial and technology park.
Questions?
Is it all the way to 200, Joe?
Phase 2 goes to 200 and then
goes to, okay.
Yeah,
this
this
is
will
west of 200.
We'll build 300 feet of the road, which will give them access because their access will be off of Polk Drive. That was the other part of this development plan was all along we've wanted to create this frontage road along 30, make sure the accesses are on that Polk Drive to limit the conflicts on 200 and 150, much like when we did Ivy Tech, removing their access off of 150 and putting it onto Polk Drive. This development will have the same kind of design with the intent that we'll continue to build that frontage road along US 30. The right-of-way is the big part of this agreement. It's the granting of the right-of-way to continue Polk Drive onto the west, and to the granting of the right-of-way on 200 to make improvements as development occurs along 200 as well.
Jeremy, just for clarification, the footprint of the Greenmark facility and the road, is there any other developable property that will remain after those 2 things are done?
If you look, I attached to the development agreement a copy of the plat that will be presented to the Plan Commission on February 11th. That shows you the main lot, which will be Greenmark operation,
we didn't get a copy of that. So here you guys. This is 200. So there's those two lots, lot 3 and 4 will be available. There's a 4.7 acre lot and a 4.5 acre lot north of the road. Okay, so actually there's a third lot 2 is 1.22 acres.
And all of that will go before the Plan Commission.
Right.
So, but yes, this, I think their intent is to create additional developable lots as part of their development.
Yeah, that was just a general question. I didn't want to get too down into the weeds.
Yeah, I mean, it's not germane to the development agreement itself,
understand
but
that.
it would be presented to the Plan Commission next month, I believe.
Right. We're just being asked to consider the agreement, and I think the fact that there will be some additional developable lots on that are a benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the Plan Commission, you're right, will take care of those details.
I'm assuming Scott looked over the agreement, right?
I did.
Yeah.
All right. Any other comments or questions from?
All right. I'll make a motion we approve the development agreement.
Second.
All right. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. You just emailed me a copy.
All right. We've got a next item is survey rates for Kimple Associates. This is just for your acceptance. I know that obviously they do work for the city, and Jeremy, these rates pretty much same as they've been.
Honestly, I did not check. I imagine they probably did go up a little bit, given the economy.
But Mr. Kimple's done work for the city for many, many years.
In terms of rates for us, they're still usually below the market for survey.
Right.
They usually give us quite a bit of discount in terms of cost.
All right. Is there a motion to approve those rates from Kimple Associates?
So, yes. Go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion?
Sorry.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Item 37, Justin's going to present the Lincoln Street Neighborhood Sidewalk Project contract. Again, this is very similar as far as funding to the Anchorage Road project. It's an NDOT federal project, federally funded project that involves the Lincoln neighborhood, school neighborhood sidewalk project.
Yeah, so this is basically identical to item 34 that Jeremy presented earlier, but for a different project that we received the grant for. It's a contract between us and NDOT to allow them to cover 80% of the preliminary engineering cost of this project.
Questions?
Move to accept.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Oh,
All right.
Really?
Item 38 is a change order to Market Street Phase 2 engineering.
Yeah, so you have change order number 3 for Market Street Phase 2. The first 2 change orders, one was an addition, one was a deduction, which totaled, I think, negative almost $50. This is another additional change order based on road closure sign requirements per the contract that was not in the original contract, but is still required per the design. So basically, they're adding this road closure so that as a pay item, because it was not in the original contract, but needs to be put on the needs to be installed as part of the project, which is going to increase the project a little over $3,000, $3,044.10. So it is an increase from the original contract.
All right. Question?
Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. And these change orders come up periodically as we get into projects and circumstances, once you start getting into the project, dictate a little bit different remedy than what was originally anticipated. We try and keep as soon as possible that these come up, but oftentimes we'll clump them together a little bit, and I think what you see when you look at the change orders is the amounts that the original contract will change, and sometimes it goes the other way. Sometimes it's actually a reduction, but this is all part of that process that is required as we review, as we pay, and as we add or subtract details to the work. All right. So, Brian, this is stormwater utility technical assistance contract with Christopher Burke Engineering.
Yeah, we've had this agreement for several years with them. There's a not to exceed of $20,000. There's a few tasks in there that are listed under this agreement for training and helping with some of the reports and so forth, but it's also there for if something comes up that we need help with or a question, that we have this agreement in place that they have a means to bill, and we have a means to pay. So.
Questions? Is there a motion to approve? So moved.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. We'll take the, I think we'll take the shoreline stabilization phase 2, 3B north and 3B south together, but I'll have you go through in detail each one of these items.
These are all continuing on from the shoreline stabilization around Pike Lake that we began last year. These were all separate projects that were identified, and with the budget allows, we've been doing these projects. So this year we feel that we were able to do these 3 contracts along the shoreline around Pike Lake, the park area. Yeah,
there's a map that's been presented for those 3 projects. 3A and 3B, correct? And what was the other one? Was it?
There's project 2, 3A, 3B north, and 3B south.
Okay. And those are listed here in this map, so you can see the location. They're all in the similar areas around the Pike Lake campground and around by the park. Questions?
We've worked with Larry, and he's really happy with what was accomplished last year and looking forward to the projects this year as well. I think he left.
So this is the actual construction work?
Correct.
Right. All right. Diane, I know you're involved with Pike Lake. Any comments?
The reconstruction projects have been very helpful as far as the erosion, and one of the reasons not only to look at losing shoreline but also to filter the water that's going into our system. So the projects actually consist of native plants and stabilization that will allow the water that's running off from parking lots, even from as far away as Fort Wayne and Main Street coming down into that area, to be filtered before it actually enters the lake. And then, of course, as most of you are aware, that lake feeds right into the Tippecanoe River, which has one of the 12 most biodiverse ecosystems in the world. And so it's a very important natural resource that we are fortunate to have right here in our city, in our county, and that we are able to be stewards of. So when you look at these projects, it's not just keeping the shoreline from eroding, but it's a long-term process to help with the preservation and the environment in this area. And we've been very thankful to have the help of Lilly Center for Lakes and Streams in giving us advice on this, to have Heartland Nurseries, some of our own local people, like Van Laken, that graduated from Warsaw Community High School, is a consultant on this, and it's been a very helpful project. So if anybody has a chance to go down there and look, those are not weeds that are growing up along the shore that somebody didn't mow, but they're actually there for a purpose, and it's very helpful.
Thank you. All right. So, any questions? So So we will consider all three of those projects. Again, Phase 2, 3A, and 3B North, and 3B South. Is there a motion to approve?
I move to approve all three phases. If I can do that. Is that all right with you, Mayor?
Yes.
All right, as presented.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, you've got a separate project, Center Lake Outfall Payout to G&G.
This is actually pay-app number 2 and pay-app number 3, which is the retainage. This project is complete. So we're just recommending that we give them their retainage and close this project.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, again, you'll note that that was approved by our civil engineer, Mr. Emmons, who's here. Any comments? You're good with all that's completed, okay?
That was on that Osborne stormwater pump station that drains the park. And
all right, there's been a motion made and seconded. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, item 44, Westler Engineering Professional Services on that Osborne pump station.
this is the last project that we want to do on this pump station. There's an inlet structure on the lake that drains to this pump station. So in the event that the Tippy River is backed up, the lake water continues to rise, we have a means to pump the lake out, because the Tippy River will rise higher than the Center Lake level. So this gives us a means to help control the lake level and the flooding around Center Lake in the event that it wouldn't be able to gravity out of the lake into the river.
Questions?
No. Move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Item 45, summer credit adjustment for wastewater bills. Rebecca?
Okay, I am actually here on behalf of a customer who would like their bill adjusted regarding the summer credit that we started in 2018. Basically, when we started it, we have about 300 customers as of today. And when it started, not everyone was aware of it. So a lot of them didn't call to sign up until after they received their first high bill. And so we did allow for a bit of a grace period for those customers and adjusted some bills to their average, which we did for this customer as well. But the bill they want adjusted was the one that we sent out in November, and they did not turn off their sprinkler system in time, so the summer credit did not apply to that bill. So they would like that one adjusted. I adjusted their July bill. I took $90 off of that one for signing up late. My only issue with this one is I've had several other customers call as well after the summer credit ended, and they were basically told that it ended and then they would still be signed up for 2019. And so they just paid their bill. This one has paid her bill, but does want us to adjust it.
So remind us of the period of the summer sprinkling credit. Did it go from like April, May?
So mid-April through mid-September. And it uses an average of November, December, and January.
So obviously there's some sprinkling going on beyond that.
Yeah, she said she turned off her sprinkler system in mid-October. And this bill was for 9/6 through 10/4. So I'm assuming there might be some adjustments eventually that we do with the months, but I just didn't know because other customers have already paid their bills. If we should just stick with that, or if you do want to adjust hers and then...
How many customers did you say applied for sprinkling credits?
We have about 300.
Right. Would they all be impacted by what decision we make today? Or just
Not all of them. We've had, I'd say maybe about 20 customers call after it ended that got high bills, and they have paid their high bills. And
okay. I would think that we err on the side of the customer simply because this is still a work in progress. If you got warm weather and it's a little later and you're going to sprinkle a little later, then we need to probably adjust that season. The bottom line is that water's not going down into the sewer, and that's what this is about.
Right.
So, and if those customers, and I agree with what you're saying, if other customers come to you that had a demonstrable difference between their regular usage and potentially sprinkling usage in that period beyond, I think we should. I would ask you to bring those back to the board.
Okay.
But I would, my opinion would be to go ahead and honor that, and then to try and come up with a period, make an adjustment in that period. It's a learning curve for everybody, and that's how I feel.
It's a good faith effort on our part. I am one of those 300, and I do go over the time we created, and so I would agree that it's a work in progress. I would like, though, if it's this customer and others, I would like them, if they do appeal it, okay, just like we've had accidents, the law office, and or there was a mistake, and as a result, we know for sure there was not water going into the sewer system. It was the sprinkler, or the kid playing with the hose, or whatever it may be, that they do come to us.
She was scheduled to be here today. She called me this morning and said she was sick.
Okay.
So I'm just speaking on her behalf this time.
Okay, since she is not here and you're speaking on behalf of her, you would agree that something did happen, there was something, it's not a normal bill?
I do agree that she said they turned their sprinkler on after the service dates. They left the sprinkler on.
I think if it's an extenuating circumstance, then it would probably be good that they come and explain the situation. But in a situation like this, where it was a sprinkler, there was an obvious disparity there, I'm comfortable with Rebecca explaining on their behalf. But if there are questionable circumstances as far as how it happened or what exactly happened, then I think, and you've been very good about bringing folks here to explain that, if there is an unusual circumstance.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with that, but I do appreciate you coming to us. Good faith effort from the representatives here, public statement, we want to provide credits. If there is a question, I also believe you or the person that is questioning what's happened would go before the public and say, listen, it'll also, I think, give us information on what you're having to deal with as we try to serve these residents. So, yeah, Mayor, I'm leaning your direction also. And the others that had issues, I don't know how many. I mean, you did say in the letter it was you contact them, and if they feel strongly enough and it's a large enough amount of money, that they come and question. And then this might give you information as we go into this year, should we make those adjustments on the timing of it, the months. Thank you.
Yep.
All right. So, is there a motion to make that adjustment to Mrs. Barbosa's bill?
Yes, related to the discussion and this specific interest, I move to make the adjustment or agree to make the adjustment. Thank you.
I'll second that.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I assume if we change the sprinkling credit time period, it would have to be in the form of a resolution to council.
I'm
or
assuming.
Even an ordinance to
yeah, because it's in the ordinance.
So I think having the public input regarding these situations still makes sense to still have them come here if those other individuals, desire to do the same thing.
Okay.
We could certainly do that. And I don't know that it wouldn't be important to maybe send them a letter out and let them know what's going on.
Okay.
We could talk about that. But it'd be good to let them know that they, what's happened here today. And then, again, once we get that public input of maybe we need to bump it a little, then obviously I think the council will have a little bit more information when they weigh that decision. So,
okay.
All right?
All right. Thank you.
I want to thank you again, like I've done before. I know it's an extra burden, but I do believe it's fair, it's appropriate, and your burden is making the service that we're providing and then the fee structure, it's fair, it's better. So thank you for all of your work.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thanks.
Okay. All right, Brian, I think we're whittling down here close to the end. These remaining items are yours. We'll start with the Ox Blue construction camera.
This is a company that reached out to us, and when he talked to me, I thought there might be some interest here. So I brought James, and there's a couple others from our department that listened to their presentation. And basically what will happen if you approve this is you can see through the billing that we actually purchased this camera. So this camera has a lifetime warranty, and it's ours forever. But then the second part of this is the service they offer. And so they'll set this camera up, and it'll time-lapse video this entire construction project out at the treatment plant. So at the end of it, we'll have a nice time-lapse. They'll put together time-lapse video showing the whole from the first shovel in the ground to the final completion of it. The camera at that point is a city's. If you want to use it on another project that's a major project and you want to be able to video it, you're able to do that. They can set up a link to our website, so citizens who want to see how the construction's coming can log in and get real-time video of it. Some of the things we really were interested in is the original treatment plant was built, and 5-10 years after it went online, we started having a settlement issue under one of our tanks where the floor was actually settling and causing problems with some of the equipment in that tank. And some of the discussion went back and forth was it installed right? We knew there were bad soils in that area. Did the excavator over-excavate and then bring in good soils? And it took a lot of discussions with the excavator 10 years after the job. We did have photos that we believe proved it, but this would make it so much easier to go back and review something. Was something installed correctly? Any questions that may come up? I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but.
So it's another set of eyes as far as kind of inspection eyes, and the quality of this video would give you details that otherwise you might not have if there were concern. Because I remember when that happened, and that was a lot of money.
It was a lot of money. It gives us another set of eyes. We can log in anytime we want to and observe them. It's real-time live feed.
Okay. From just the contract standpoint, the construction of the plant, I think it's a great idea because they'll develop then a final imagery report for us that we'll have in our files. But beyond that, the purchase of the camera, once Ryan said, once it's ours, it's ours. That camera could be set up as a live feed down at the park. It could be set up anywhere if the city chose to do that and access, like you might if you're going to vacation somewhere and a restaurant's got a live feed up at the beach and you can see things. This camera has value forever on any construction project we do, or just permanently install it somewhere to showcase the city or events going on. At the plant, it'll be anchored on a high location, an elevated location, and the imagery that we're going to get is time-lapse from that vantage point. But the camera itself could be reused anywhere. So Brian and I felt that although the camera's not cheap, we saw benefit in the city that I think we could market through Parks Department or other groups that we haven't thought of how we might use it, but they can link it to our website. So it's eyes of the city. So we thought it was a pretty good investment. And certainly the service that they provide for this construction project could be valuable if there were issues later on.
Like just having lived through that issue that we had, it sounds to me like for the inexpensive cost and that camera being ours, it sounds like a great insurance policy as this $30 million project unfolds. Yeah.
No kidding. Good point.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll move to approve the Blue Construction, Fox Blue.
Second. Good point, Mayor.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Thanks, Brian.
Thank you. I have not.
Oh, the high school?
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the same company, but.
Interesting. Yeah, might be. All right, item 47. This is State Revolving Fund Plan Expansion, Westler.
This is for the engineering services for the design of the plant expansion.
And this is a pay app, correct?
Pay app, yes, correct.
All right.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Item 48. This is the engineering contract, I believe.
This is a contract
for the plant expansion.
For the plant expansion, basically for professional services from bid opening through construction is what this contract is essentially for. Gary is here if you have any questions of Wessler. But it's you can see through there's several items, but it's additional studies, the construction oversight.
Okay. So obviously, Gary, you want to come up just for a couple questions? Preliminary engineering has obviously been completed. That was necessary for the SRF application and so forth. What then does this add to that?
This covers our construction phase services, and it's broken down to a few different parts. The biggest part is what we call construction administration. You could call that more or less the office work, the office support, where we're reviewing shop drawings or responding to contractors, RFIs, processing pay applications, and there's numerous people working on the different aspects of the project. A lot of the same engineers that helped design the project are involved throughout construction to address questions from the contractor, review shop drawings, and so forth. That's the biggest chunk of the services. Another big portion is our resident project representative. That's our on-site inspector. And Brian was talking about the camera. And we will have a full-time person out there 8 hours a day whenever they're working for the duration of the project. We will have support for him, but that falls under the construction admin. The person who will be leading our construction admin, Jody Williams, will be on site 2 to 3 days a week, whereas our inspector, RPRJ Dial, will be there every day. They'll be working out of a field trailer, so we'll have a presence and be there every day. Another part of this is the operation and maintenance and training support. There's another operational consultant, WSI, Brad Music, who'll be doing the majority of the training, preparing the operation and maintenance manual, but we have to support him and give him documentation, and we're involved in that also. There's a warranty period. After construction is done, the contractor has a 1-year warranty period. We have assistants in there that when stuff comes up that we are involved in helping get those issues resolved. And then the last part is an asset management plan, and that's required by SRF as part of their loan. And this asset management plan will focus on the treatment plant and the collection system. So there's a lot of parts and pieces to this.
Right. Well, and this is obviously a very significant component to what we've approved and what we're hopefully going to be starting up here pretty soon. To that end, can you just give us a brief timeline of the project, this anticipated start and hopeful completion?
We have a pre-construction meeting set for next Wednesday. That's where we get plant staff, the contractor, myself, a representative from SRF will call in, a lady from the Soil Conservation Service here responsible for erosion control will be there. So it's a pre-construction meeting, kind of a kickoff meeting. Later on the agenda, you've got the notice to proceed. That is dated for February 25th. That tells the contractor that's the day your contract begins. This contract is essentially construction period is 22 months, so it's almost a 2-year project. So there's a lot of time, a lot of effort involved over that time period.
Okay. And again, I know the importance of this and comprehensive nature of this project, the requirements by SRF, and obviously the need that we have to get this done. I'm assuming with this timeline we're going to meet the phosphorus, hopefully meet that.
That's actually got a milestone where that needs to be completed earlier in the project by, I think, April of next year, April 2020.
Right.
Be in service.
Very good.
Gary, do you anticipate you're going to be the contact coming to these meetings?
The board meetings?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Questions?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Item 49, annual training, wastewater.
This is actually with Brad Music, who was just speaking with. We brought him in for the last, probably 12 years or better. He does our annual training. It's four a half day, 4 4-hour sessions. It meets all the requirements for all our certified operators to get their continuing education credits that IDEM requires. We're also are, starting to train on how this new plant's going to work and some of the new technologies that we're going to have. You can kind of see his general layout there. But it's just a very effective way to get everybody trained in 4 days and meet the requirements that they
meets their annual requirement for their certifications to keep their operator's licenses.
Correct.
Yeah. All right. Questions?
No. Move to approve the training.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Item 50. This is wastewater treatment executed agreement with the contractor for the sewage project.
I'm probably going to bring James or Gary up to work through some of these contract details and any questions you might have. That's not my expertise.
The document you've got in front of you is the actual agreement with Kissing for this project, and the board needs to approve this agreement, and then we'll put a date on it. But they have provided all of the bonds that are required, the insurance information, but this is the actual formal agreement with this contractor to build.
And I assume that's been reviewed by the engineer. Yeah. Right.
Good.
They prepared the information for the contractor to get back to us, yes.
Right. And this lays out the timeline and the penalties and gotcha. Okay. Questions?
No. I'll move to approve the contract.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. And then item 51 would be the notice to proceed, where the shovel can start hitting the ground.
Yeah, from a contract time frame, the agreement references that there'll be a contract date that's tied back to this notice to proceed, and that date was February 25th. We're approving this notice to proceed at this point. That'll be communicated to the contractor, and the clock starts ticking on February 25th.
And again, I assume that's all part and parcel to the work you've been doing, preliminary engineering, final, current engineering, and the construction documents. This date is
Yep.
it.
That's it. The agreement in the contract itself says the contract is a particular number of days. This is that start date.
Yeah, 600. Yeah, I move to accept.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Special claims.
I handed out the special.
G.G. Hauling, $17,000.
It was a wastewater claim.
Okay.
I'll move to approve that special claim.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. And then the claims registers, the dockets. Did you all see any areas there of interest?
Just an FYI, it was a little high this time because of investments that
Yeah, I
were
noticed that.
purchased.
Yeah. At the top. Yep. Is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. Any other matters to come before the board?
Yes, sir.
I thought I was going to be on the docket today, but I apparently did not make it.
Dugan Julian presenting on behalf of the Lilly Center for Lakes and Streams and the Northern Indiana Lakes Festival. I'd like to propose our road closure requests and approve routes for our 5K and festival parade route.
Okay. Did we consider these today?
If not, I can reschedule, but we'd like to be able to advertise as soon as possible for these, and I don't feel comfortable doing that today on approval.
Sure.
Well, just recently we approved the new way that you apply for the road closures and stuff, so I would ask that you go through the normal process. Obviously,
I include there was a new process.
Yeah,
So I can definitely do it.
we'll talk with you after.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate it. Thanks for letting us know. I know Lakes and Streams
There's no large departure from last year, so I don't think it should be an issue.
I know the festival is a big event for the city, and we're certainly welcoming and want that done. As long as there's not time sensitivity here, we come the first Friday in February would be try and get things done by then.
Absolutely.
All right. Thanks so much.
dude.
All right. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, I do want to thank you all for your patience. Oh, by the way, Jeff, do you have anything to say about snow removal this weekend? I know you're sitting back there trying to get some sleep before you go out tonight.
Patience and many hands make light work. So as sidewalks need clean, they get out, help your neighbors, help each other, and enjoy the beautiful snow and make it through.
Okay. Speaking of that, and I don't know why, I just wanted to mention, I don't know, there was some information put out by the Chamber, City of Warsaw and the Chamber partnered for snow removal in the downtown sidewalk area. And also there's a brine tank that applies brine to the sidewalks. This is done during the week, typically done in the morning after a snow event. They've been out a few times. They were out this morning applying brine. Certainly want to thank the Chamber. The Chamber donated $10,000 towards this tractor, and it's a brush. It's not possible really to use a blade or a blower on the sidewalks because of the unevenness, but that will cover the downtown sidewalk area. I think it's a 6-foot path along the sidewalk, and then potential brine use in the back. Again, it's a brush. It's a closed cab, brand new Kubota tractor, funded by $10,000 by the WCDC, and then the city paid the rest. I think it was like $7,000. The city will be doing the work. The city will maintain the equipment, and the city will also be able to use that equipment in the summertime to mow as well. It's housed down at the Parks Department, and it'll come up and run its downtown route again in the morning, hopefully before any of the folks get downtown to work and shop. So I did want to acknowledge that. I do believe the Chamber has sent out or will be sending out information and a publicity about that, a picture with the tractor and everything, and certainly you can get a hold of Rob on those details. But I think that's a pretty big deal. It's providing a little continuity in our downtown sidewalk that I know a lot of folks have had concerns about, and Chamber and the city are happy to try and take care of that. So a lot going on today, accepting some funds. I think we spent more today than we took in, but we took in a good amount, and obviously these projects are all very important to the city. A lot of this business today was critical business to get the plant moving, and again, I thank you all for your patience. If there's nothing else,
Move to adjourn.
Thank you.
Let's go. Be right back. I gotta go to the bathroom.
That was the longest meeting.
That was just about.
What, Jeff?
Yeah, you better get out.
I sent you an email, but I didn't hear.